here, Susan.
Yep. I see K Paul, but it's muted.
All right, how about now? Hey, Paul.
There you go. Then Javier.
Hey, guys.
So it looks like we have everybody. So Burton, are we ready?
Is it still muted?
No.
Okay. I think we're ready to go.
Nope. So at 5:33, I will call the Sunnyvale 4B Economic Development Board meeting of Tuesday, May 12th to order. Public meeting may view this. Well, do we need, can you go over the instructions for people wanting to join in the forum and all that?
Yeah, just as a reminder, and I posted this on the Facebook live. To raise your hand, press star 9. Raise your hand. Application. We're getting a little feedback. Everyone mute their microphone. Can everyone mute their microphones? Okay. Yeah, the feedback's gone now. Appreciate that. Yeah, to mute your microphone, to raise your hand, to press star 9 on your phone, or use the web application to use the raise your hand feature, and you'll be called on when it is open for discussion or at the appropriate time.
Okay. All members are present. So we'll move on to the public forum. 4B Board of Directors invite citizens and address the board on any matter, including items on the agenda, except public hearings that are included on the agenda. Comments related to the public hearings will be heard when the specific hearing starts. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. The board is not permitted to take action or discuss any item not listed in the agenda. So open for public forum.
There's no one that has their hand raised at this time.
Okay. So we'll close the public forum and move forward with discussion action items. First of which is swearing in our newest member, Chris Nair, and Burton will be doing that.
Yes, sir. This will be a first here. I guess we're going to do this virtual, Chris. You would raise your right hand and please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Chris Nair,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
of the Sunnyvale Economic Development Corporation
of the Sunnyvale Economic Development Corporation
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my abilities,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of the state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Yep. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Sure, looking forward to collaborate with all of you. Thank you.
Would you like to give a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. So, just a few comments on my professional qualifications. I think that probably related. I am a technology guy by profession, and also do a little bit of investments as well. So I have a daytime job. I had artificial intelligence and automation department for a company called Litmus 7. I'm also a partner at a small venture capital firm called Centrica Ventures, based out of here in Dallas. So my career has been, like, in the past 20 years, a lot of years with IBM, HP, Microsoft, Aegon, spanned in around 15 different countries in the last 23 years. Okay, and last 11 years prior to coming back to Sunnyvale, I spent the past 11 years in Arkansas, Little Rock, where I was involved very actively with the Arkansas Economic Development Forum, but I was also a founder of 2 different companies where we got, like, Economic Development Commission's help and tax credits, like a couple of $1 million in each time on 2 different occasions. I was founder of two of those companies. So that is where I got involved with Economic Development Commission and all those kind of things, what state and cities do, right? So definitely comes with a little bit of, experience working with the state government and Economic Development Commission and City of Little Rock. So that is what triggered me to, when I was, heard about this opportunity, I just wanted to see, we are a small city, but definitely a beautiful city. So wanted to see how I can collaborate and look at, my interest is in 2 areas, of course. One is, how we can bring in new businesses into town. I had a couple of occasions, I had a quick chat with our mayor, and actually he was, he kind of knew my background, and he was asking me like, hey, how can you work with a lot of tech companies and things like that. Is there any way we can help bring in a few organizations into our city? So I was kind of keeping that in my mind. And when this opportunity came up, I thought of like, okay, let me also join and see how I can contribute. So that's my background. And, I mostly work from my house, here. And about my personal story, I have my wife, she worked with the Veterans Administration. She's a nurse, and I have 2 small kids, an 8-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy.
Huh.
So that's my story here.
Great. I'm glad to have you aboard, and thanks for the help you'll bring us. So next we'll move on to the April 2020 financial reporting and related items. So turn it over to Sarah and Phyllis.
All right, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I'll go over the April financial report that that staff prepared. Thank you, Phyllis and Liz, as always. And also just to let everyone know, I'd already let Eric and Burton and Susan know, I have to jump off of this call at about 6 o'clock. Because I have another Zoom meeting with the choir boosters where I have to present those financials. And then I'll be right back on this call, and hopefully in time to at least participate in the executive session and any other items that we need to vote on. So pulling double duty tonight. So for April, our revenues were at $63,179.62, which, seems lower than normal, but when you actually compare it to the same period in the previous year, again, this is for February because we have a 2-month lag. It's actually roughly the same as what we had a year ago during the same period. So I thought that was interesting. And for our expenses for the month, we did have a little less than 14,000 for our normal payroll and maintenance contracts and other legal and planning expenses that we've already agreed to. It looks like we also had the expenditure for the Christmas tree this period, so that's awesome. And our ending fund balance as of April 30th is at $3,194,078. And I didn't have any additional questions for staff unless Phyllis wants to make any comments regarding the financials herself.
I don't have anything, but would be happy to answer any questions if anybody had one.
Nope, we did meet between last meeting and this meeting and reviewed the updated budget and everything. So is there anything we need to discuss on that or not?
We don't at this time.
Okay. Good. Barring any questions, would somebody like to make a motion to approve April 2020 financials?
I make a motion to approve the April 2020 financial statements.
Motion made by member Anthony,
Shatter will second.
seconded by member Shatter. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise,
Anthony,
Bradford,
Shatter,
Cash.
member Nair, did you state your name?
I think he's muted.
Oh, sorry, Nair.
Okay, Nair. Okay, passes unanimously. Move on to item number 3, updates on projects. First one's COVID-19 Business Incentive Program. So I'll let Burton go over the details, but so far we've approved 3 for 3 different businesses, and we're expecting a couple more, but so Burton.
Yes, sir. We've received 3 so far. And the committee planned to fund all 3 of those requests. Some of the guidelines, the eligibility requirements must be located within the corporate limits of town of Sunnyvale, be in business for at least 6 months prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Priority would be given to businesses with less than 20 full-time equivalent employees. Businesses had 25% or greater reduction in revenue after the COVID-19 disaster was declared, and any supporting documentation for additional assistance through other programs. So the assistance was up to $5,000. However, incremental amounts may be awarded, and the assistance would be repaid or forgiven over a 12-month period with the performance agreement requiring the retention of jobs. So we reached out to the businesses that we had on file that we had contacted for email addresses. The program launched on the 4th, May the 4th, and hopefully we'll get some more folks looking into the program. I've answered quite a few questions and email responses, but in terms of additional packets received, I haven't thus far. So
Okay, and have the 3 that we approved been notified yet, or?
I've got still working on finishing up the performance agreements.
Okay,
Once we get those done, I'll reach out to those folks.
yeah, so no need to discuss it further until it's finalized, I guess.
Did y'all have any more?
Burton, can you let us know?
Program?
Can you let us know when you do approve those businesses so we won't try to double down or whatever?
Sure.
Yeah,
Thanks.
because I don't know, I don't know if it's private, but I wouldn't want to discuss any of the details until it's official,
Right.
so. Okay, So next
I
is-
was just,
Sorry.
President, I was just going to add that the town has been promoting it on our Facebook and our Twitter pages and our e-newsletters. But anything you guys can do to share those posts so that it gets a wider distribution, that'd be really helpful.
will do.
Thank you.
Okay, So next is the Glazier property. Any update?
I don't have any updates from the consultant on the Glazier project.
Okay. Jobson,
The Jobson property, the property sale closed yesterday, and we did, I know at the last time we discussed this, we had filed for the waiver of retroactivity with the state, and we did receive that last week from Texas Parks and Wildlife. And for those of you that, I've said this before, but just as a refresher, that waiver from the state allows us to potentially any grant opportunities that come along for that property, it allows us to use the purchase price of that as matching funds for any grants that we might be awarded within a time frame. The initial term is, I believe, 1 or 2 years for that waiver, but there are extensions that you can file for. So that was a great opportunity to do that.
great.
So
Yeah, we need to take advantage of that definitely with Parks and Wildlife grants.
right.
Cool. Well, congrats. So your first land purchase is the acting 4B. Is that your first park purchase as Parks?
Here, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Congrats on 2 fronts. Any questions on Jobson?
Did they say anything about the wetlands that where the creek crosses under Jobson Road?
They noted it in the environmental, but nothing came back that I could see in that.
Okay. I know when I was on the school board, that came up, but it was so trivial that, and it was man-made, by the way. So, it was just a point of note.
I
Right.
thought that was just a culvert that didn't drain properly.
Hey, Burton,
Yes.
I could be mistaken, so nobody quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that that is one of the projects that we're awarding contracts for. It's, part of the drainage package. Isn't that right, Eric?
It's on the drainage study. And so
Yeah.
it's probably one of the phases. I
Yeah.
don't remember which one.
It is. It's one of the sub projects. So I think we grouped it with another. It may be grouped with the culvert under Trip Road as like one project. But so it will be addressed as part of that whole Trip Road drainage stuff that we're awarding probably at the next council meeting.
Cool. Good deal. Then next is Rails to Trails update.
So there's a few details being finalized, but the sale should close in June for the property. We're also finalizing the North Central Texas Council of Governments Transportation Alternatives application, specifically for the Safe Routes to School program. And that grant deadline is this Friday. So we've got a few more documents to get to the consultant once they send them back to us, and we should be good to go. The school board I believe the school board meets on the 18th to officially take action on that. But we are going to be able to submit a grant and meet the deadline. So.
Yeah, so Burton and Susan and Doug met and reviewed with David McCaskill last week and looked over proposed routes and then came up with some finalized map for the additions to the rail spur, whatever you call them, segments that link up through the campus and then along Nance. And so when they got that done, then Half and Associates completed an updated price summary. And so anybody that wants that, we'll get that to you guys so you can review it if you'd like. Price did go up since the last quote, but again, it involved a trail connector along Nance, which wasn't originally in it. But it's moving along. So
Yeah, I'd like to get a copy of the updated map and the cost summary, please. I was also curious to know if the map was adjusted to take into account the intermediate school, because I don't think that was on the original route. And that may be what you're referencing in the one change on Nance, I'm guessing.
yeah, Susan called that out back with the last thing because it didn't even have the intermediate on the overhead views, you know, the satellite shots, but all that's been updated. And then primarily with Doug's input, he wanted routes in different locations for logical reasons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'd love to have a copy of that when it's convenient.
Okay.
any more questions or input on Rails to Trails?
I would like a copy of that too. This is Shatter. I don't know if you just can send it to us all or not.
Yeah, we can just send it to everybody.
Yeah, I'll send it to everybody.
That'd be great.
You know, Burton, I know you asked me today about the Glacier update and we didn't have anything from David, but I can tell you that I got an email from Christopher, the guy who leases the property from us, and he did confirm that they'd been out doing the surveying. So we at least know that that work is underway or completed. So although we didn't get an update from David McCaskill, we at least know that it is in process.
Great.
Okey-doke. And lastly is Vineyard Park.
So the bid documents were sent to the contractor late last week. We're waiting on signatures, bond and insurance documents before we can schedule a pre-construction meeting with myself and Lyle, our town engineer. And from that point, we should be able to get started. So everything seems to be moving along.
Neat. I'm assuming there haven't been any requests to use the park or the lights or anything like that, you know, with the restrictions.
We haven't, we're starting to get more and more questions about if we're open, if we're not. You know, I've kind of, a lot of the folks that I've responded to are saying that they're going to do small groups, you know, like four kids, temperature checks, masks, things of that nature. I think everybody's still trying to figure out how that's going to work, but it does sound like everybody's being cautious about it. So,
right. I guess it falls under a different topic, but yeah, I was just curious about that because I've been going and using the running trail at City Park, Town Park, and there's been a lot of people out there using the various facilities. So I was curious about Vineyard, but obviously that falls under, I guess, town manager and mayor whenever you guys decide to flex whatever the policy is on COVID-19.
Yeah, we actually just this weekend reopened the picnic area and the playground. And honestly, we weren't trying to formally open the playground, but once we opened the picnic areas, there was just no stopping it. And so we just kept having to send police out over and over to try and keep people off. So we finally just, you know, allowed it. So we can probably, Burton and I can discuss Vineyard Park tomorrow, see where we're at with the reservations and how we can handle that one.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of the way we left it with all of the people that had standing reservations or for fields or for pavilions. We basically just halted everything. We halted taking on anymore. And we felt like there were some folks that requested refunds. Some folks wanted to hold their reservations. So we felt like we would reach out to the ones that still had the reservations and give them the first opportunity to reschedule before we start opening up additional ones. So.
Okay, dope. Great.
Hey, Eric, before you move on to the next topic, I have to jump off. I'll jump back on as soon as I can.
Okay, thank you. So next is moving on to future agenda items and events. I was curious if, 4th of July stuff is still, Sunny Fest is still a thought, or if that's.
Brittany, you want me to take that one?
Either way.
Go ahead. I'll chime in if you need me to.
Okay. We reached out to all of the all of our vendors that we had deposits, which essentially were the fireworks and stage, sound, and lights, and got with them to see what our last dates for full refund, reschedule, things of that nature. For the fireworks, we have to give them an answer by June the 1st in terms of if we want to reschedule. Our rain out date was scheduled for October the 6th, which is also National Night Out. So everyone seemed to be receptive, at least the vendors, for accommodating that. In some cases, they were also accommodating to if the event was canceled for, whatever that determination's made, that deposit could be rolled for the next year. So that's kind of where we stand. I believe council's going to discuss it again on the 26th, and there should be more information after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my opinion is if we're able to do the fireworks, I think it would be a great thing, even if the full fest didn't go on, but because most people can see it from around town without actually having to go get together in a big group. But delaying, if it makes more sense, I guess what we got to do. Any other thoughts on future agenda items and events?
I did want to add that this Friday at 10 a.m. we have the event for the honoring the hospital workers. So if any of you are able to join us, we're just going to park in the parking lot and have signs and honk our horns and flash our lights. And they're going to have the employees come out of the hospital so that we can just honor them. So that's this Friday, 10 a.m. And then the other event is on the 23rd, and we're partnering with the school district for this. And it's the caravan for the senior class. And they're going to be going all over town. So be watching for a map. But we're asking people not to join the caravan, but rather to line the route with signs and just being out there to show support for the senior class. And this is actually taking the place of their traditional senior walk. They're going to do this instead. So we'll continue on Facebook to put out information as we get it from the school. I think the new police department is working on finalizing the route with them and traffic control and all of that. But that is May 23rd, also at 10 a.m. That's a Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be a great event. I think about how many people came out for Dalton with American Idol. So hopefully we can top that with graduation.
Hope so. Thank you.
Anybody else? No other future agenda items or events? We can move on to executive session. So do we need to temporarily adjourn to go into executive session? I forget.
We recommend that you stay on your Zoom and
Okay.
just leave it on your computer and then mute it. And then, as an extra thing, you can go into another room. And then on your telephone, call in to the other conference call number that you've been given.
Okay.
Because we do have to reconvene in order to either take any action or adjourn.
Okay.
Okay.
So we will adjourn into executive session at 6:02 p.m. Please mute your Zoom and dial in using the conference call. not seeing Burton, so does he have to?
I'm muted now.
Okay, we're all here.
Okay. So we will open back or just resume our initial meeting. And due to information we learned from our attorney, we apologize for the delay for y'all, but we'll open up for comment for you guys for your application and what you're looking to create with your business.
We appreciate that. Can you all hear me okay? Good.
Yes.
Let me first say thank you for the opportunity to visit with you all, for both of us. To give you a little bit of background on us, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm not in the restaurant business, but my lovely wife has 30, we were just talking about that. She has 38 years in the business, and I had no idea it had been that long. I haven't known her that long, but almost. She has worked for 5 different corporates. That's Taco Bell, Burger King, Wendy's, Grandy's, and Peter Piper Pizza, extracting information from all 5. And when we met 32 years ago, before we were married, she had her first restaurant called Cafe Cherry in El Paso, Texas. She ran that for several years. And then I was given an opportunity to move to Dallas. By this time, she was raising our family. We have 5 children together, 1 still at home, but 4 adult children. And then in 2009, she wanted to get back into the restaurant business, and we opened up our Pawpaws, which was named after her father, in Garland. And she created the concept, she created the menu, everything on it was hers and hers alone. She didn't have a grease trap, so she couldn't fry anything. And she just tried to provide healthy choices for the Garland downtown customers. And 5 years later, she moved into a bigger location, still in Garland. We've been there for 11 years now. And she's taken it for when $100 was a good day, and she's averaging $750 pre-COVID-19. She was averaging $750 a day. So, and again, all she did was take the experiences that she had, the knowledge that she had, and build on what she knew was the right thing to do for her customers. We've been in Sunnyvale since 2012. We're very glad to be here. This is hopefully will be our last home. But she's had a yearning to do something else. And we started visiting with Derek Salzer over at Sunnyvale Park. And as opposed to creating another location based upon the Cafe Cherry Pawpaws brand, she thought that if we're going to do this, let's harken back to the history of Sunnyvale with the settlers, with New Hope and Hattersville. And she came up with a concept. I didn't come up with anything. Settlers Table. The idea, we have seen, just like you have, that Sunnyvale has been underserved with restaurants for a long time, much longer than we've been here. And her hope, the idea was to present something that is a little rustic, harkening back to the history of Sunnyvale, but at the same time, providing family meals, something we have a lot of young families here, a lot of young professionals with young kids. We wanted to present a place where the family could come, have great choices, have healthy food, and not break the bank. I mean, that's part of it as well. We're fortunate to be in an affluent area, but at the same time, we don't necessarily have to take money out of both your pockets so that you can, with your couple of kids, be able to enjoy a meal. And in conversations with Derek, we want to be open 7 days a week. We're going to offer beer and wine, which we've never done before. But the goal is to provide services that we feel Sunnyvale is sincerely lacking in. And while we appreciate the offer that was made through Mr. Barr, we wanted to come back to this group and give some explanation as to why we were looking for more. Chair, did you want to?
Well, it had been brought to our attention, I believe, that there had been more presented or offered in a couple of other people that had come before us. And so there's a little confusion as to why that amount had reduced. And then also the way that it's structured, because it seems like there was some talk about providing money for equipment and things of that sort, which I already have that taken care of. I mean, I've already got all that lined up. And to me, it made more sense that if Sunnyvale was giving us money, that money would be put into the actual structure of the building and the build out, because that's going to stay there forever. I mean, whatever I do there will be there forever. I know how this business works, and whether I make it or whether I fail miserably, it will be the thing that was there for until the end of time. And so it would seem to make sense to me that any money that came from this city would be in a permanent into the building and not into my equipment that, you know, can go out the door with me. This is a scary time, a troubling time. I think I probably must be crazy to move forward and open a restaurant right now. But I feel that this is what I'm supposed to do, that this is what I'm led to do. And I need a little help. And especially with everything that's transpired in the last 8 weeks, I really need help from the city to help fund this a little bit so that I can move forward and not completely exhaust everything that I have. For the last 2 months, I've kept my own restaurant back in Garland afloat. I did not lay off my people. I've continued to pay everyone and continue to run as we could with the takeout and delivery. I've had to reinvent the wheel every day, but that's what I'm good at. As a mother of 5 and having worked for multiple restaurants, I know how to reinvent the wheel every day if I have to. And so that doesn't scare me as to what the future is and what we may have to do or adjust. Derek had just asked me, would we offer meals for people to take home? I absolutely could do that if I have to do that. And that's something that I can bring to the table that, you know, your big corporations are not going to do. I mean, your Applebee's, your Chili's or whatever, if they go into this building, they're going to do their brand and that's it. Where I'm going to do what the citizens of Sunnyvale need and how we need it with these changing times.
Not only that, one of the things that Cherry has done for the last 11 years in Garland and what she would bring to Sunnyvale Park, she's a teaching restaurant.
Yes.
There's a lot of times that young people are looking for their first job, but they have no skills. They don't have any experience. They don't know what to do. And she'll take those children, those young people that don't have the baggage, and help them to understand what it's like to wait on a customer, what it's like to work in a kitchen, what it's like to be there every day and be part of a team as opposed to just showing up and delivering pizza. And that's one of the things that she takes pride in. She has four employees that she's had for several years because, again, she taught them the value of working in a team, working for something that's bigger than yourself. And they've enjoyed that, they've appreciated that, and they're still with us. So we would be wanting to do the same thing with Sunnyvale, especially with the hours that we're going to be open and the potential income, the potential, and I don't want to focus on the money, but the number of people that we can serve here. There will be a tremendous staff that will be needed, and we would pull a lot of those from the Sunnyvale High School.
And I truly enjoy working with those. I would rather train them than retrain them. So I do enjoy working with the first job young people. So that's what I do.
Were there any questions that you all had for us?
Yeah, pre-COVID restrictions, I mean, how many tables were you planning on having? And
there, I believe our
capacity, I guess, you know,
I can't remember exactly what the build out is. We have.
I've got 2,500 square feet. I want to say, was it 82?
It's in I believe around 80 or so but that's just inside. I mean, we'll have a patio in the front and then also service to the common area in the back.
The courtyard area.
Right. When we're planning on placing the bar to where it can serve out into that common area. And then I had already planned in a, you know, specified takeout door on this side of the building with parking with a window just inside for takeout. And now I see that that's certainly going to be a great need for that with the changing times. So to answer your question, inside the building, I believe it's about 80 or so, but there's certainly a lot more capacity outside as well.
Right. Okay. And then you mentioned 7 days a week. So what?
Yes, sir.
What are the planned hours?
11 to 9, Monday through Friday. Saturday may be a little later. And on Sunday, it was, we didn't want to work on Sunday. We don't currently.
Right.
But Derek really asked us to serve the after church crowd. And so we're thinking a
brunch, like 11 to 4. Sort of.
A really short schedule on Sunday, because again, we don't want to work on Sunday. We don't want our employees to work on Sunday, but at his request,
right,
we've agreed to a very short schedule.
Okay. And so Saturday, same thing, open at 11?
Yes.
11 till, like I said, maybe 10 or something, but okay.
And I believe some of that is so as not to take away from, because I currently serve breakfast, but so as not to take away from Hope Coffee. I mean, if this thing blows up and we could, you know, get to the point where there's plenty of business for everybody, I mean, that may change, but initially it was to give them that breakfast time and then us take over after that. So.
Okay.
Any other questions? I will share with you, Derek has given us $65,000 in leasehold improvements, plus $25,000 for the grease trap. So he's got $90,000 in this. We have spent
already
$25,000 in plumbing below the ground, $23,000 in concrete above, or covering up the sewer, the grease trap, electrical, and we've got $9,500 in architect fees. All in, we're talking about, without equipment, without food, paper, napkin, or plates and all that, we're looking at $210,500. Then you add in the $61,800 in equipment, and then $7,500 in foods and beverages. It's $279,800 as a total project. And to make things more real, when you extract Derek's 85 rather, and if you were to see your way to what we had requested, our portion of this is going to be $129,800.
Mr. Stigler, just out of curiosity, what's your background? I know the application came, you know, from Mrs. Stigler. You did most of the introduction, so I was just curious, you know, your involvement. I know you're a couple and all that, but are you involved in the restaurant, or is it?
When we were living in Garland, before we moved to Sunnyvale, I was there probably 3 afternoons and most of Saturday, and I washed dishes and I bussed tables and I fixed the potato slicer and whatever else I needed. At this location, I may just be the bartender. But back to your question. We own 8 acres. We have cattle and horses, goats. As a matter of fact, I just took a bull to be processed in Mineola, and we're talking about possibly using the meat that we grow in the restaurant. But back to your question, I'm a claims adjuster by trade. I'm 63 years old. I'm tired of climbing roofs. And last year, I looked at 484 homes, and that didn't include the tornado. I was tired last year. Financially, it was a great year. We spent a bunch of money on the house, but I'm looking to cut back. I'm looking to do less. And geez, I mean, we're on Larkin Road, and this is right up here. I expect to be up here probably more than I care to admit, but at least I can see myself up here 30 hours a week, just hanging out, making sure, just managing. Because again, with a staff that big, many times from my perspective, you're just herding cats. But when you have a business owner mentality, you walk in and you see that napkin that's on the floor and you pick it up, and you see that dirty glass that's left over there that nobody else sees, and you pick it up, and you see a table that needs to be bussed. And every time I walk into Paw Paws and Garland, I'm guilty of still doing the same thing because I know it needs to be done. As business owners, you see the global perspective of what's happening as opposed to individuals saying, well, that's not my job because I'm waiting tables, I don't bus. We just come in, we do what we have to, and because of the proximity, I'm gonna be here a lot.
Okay. And then my other follow-up question for both of you was kind of looking at your projected sales compared to what you shared at, I think you said 750 a day at the current location. And I mean, that's more than double. And then that math based on the level of seating you have plus hours and alcohol, or what's the location difference? What's the variance?
Well, the beer and wine, we don't want it to be a focal point. It's mom and dad with their two kids. Mom wants a glass of wine and dad wants a beer before after the football game or after a basketball game or just coming home. The beer and wine is really, and again, it's not something that was initially considered. We've never sold beer and wine before. But again, when you consider there's neighborhood, I think it's something that we should offer to our customers, but it should not be the focal point. We're looking at doing at least, I think I didn't bring those numbers, but I want to say we're going to double our business. We're going to have an increase in prices because Garland is just with fixed income. It won't allow us to charge what we should be charging. Our goal is to not have more than 30% of our business in beer and wine. We want 70% on the food, and that's where it should be.
What are the daily numbers that you're
I'm thinking, didn't we say like 2,000 a day?
at least?
2,100, 2,200 a day.
Easy.
We're talking about 50 to 60, very conservatively speaking, $50,000 a month. And I really think it's going to be closer to 60 a month.
Yeah, and those numbers are a lot more than what you forecast until you get out to year 4. So good. Any other questions from anybody?
Thanks for coming out, y'all. It means a lot.
I'm sorry?
Thanks for coming out. It really means a lot to us.
Well, and thank you. Thank you for the time and the opportunity to visit with you, answer any questions you had, and to allow us to give our perspective and for you to meet us, because we're selling us. And so if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you so much. Okay. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Then Burton.
Thank you.
I know our agenda got a little mixed up, so where do we go from here, agenda-wise?
Now, I would add that you could go back to executive session if you need to do that, and as a board talk about this matter.
That's probably logical, because at that point, then Burton can share with us the other information we can debate.
And I'm going to have to leave this meeting shortly. I've got a 7 o'clock city council meeting, so I can be with you for just, maybe a few more minutes here.
So is that same dial-in still active?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want us to mute from the Zoom and dial in again?
Yes.
So we'll move back to executive session at 6:46 p.m.
That's perfect.
Sit tight. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And Eric, tell you what, I will.
Yeah. I accidentally muted.
Yeah, you got everybody muted?
Yeah, everybody's muted. And wait, we're muted.
I'm back.
So Nikki's Zoom dropped off, so she's having to log back in.
Hey, Eric, can you hear me?
Hi. Are y'all coming back?
I'm not sure. I just see them.
Yeah, I think they're coming back.
Slowly but surely we are.
I see
Here he
them.
comes.
I see you. Now they're coming on.
I think we got a couple of people that are logged back in.
You want your chair back?
No.
What does that phone mean?
That's someone's calling in. So whenever you see a name, that means there's an active participant there. It's just their, in this particular case, their videos. But he has the control, he has the ability to mute everybody and to turn off cameras. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're waiting on, or Terry, are you back?
Is Terry muted? Joseph?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Good. Well, we adjourned out of executive session at 7:09 back into open session. Burton will follow up with you guys. At this point, no further actions taken, and we will adjourn at 7:11 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.